Hello everybody, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. I'm just gonna put a little something under my laptop so it doesn't overheat. It's working really hard on the streams. And here we go. And things look pretty good. Pretty good. So just a little bigger for my old eyes. And okay, hello everybody. Welcome aboard. So this is a special show for the satellite listening. So what I will do is today we're going to talk about amateur radio satellites only, tuned to amateur radio satellites only. But we are going to have a show in January where we're going to tune in anything but amateur radio satellites. So we'll see what we can listen to with the ARBCON and the NOAA weather. We'll try to decode a live weather chart from a NOAA satellite and so on. So also what I was thinking, and we're going to talk about it, is this satellite show. Maybe we could actually have it monthly. I was thinking that maybe, I don't know, the last week of each month will be the satellite show. So we have, you know, shortwave shows, one satellite show at the end, at the last Friday, and then come back with shortwave. And every last Friday of the month, you guys will know it's a satellite show, so I think that could be cool. So welcome aboard. This is a radio show. This is today exceptionally more VHF, UHF than shortwave. But if you have a shortwave question or anything about shortwave, please ask away. We are here for that. Also, not just for satellite stuff, but we will kind of talk about amateur radio satellites today. My name is Gilles. My location is Montreal, Quebec, Canada. The location is northeast part of North America, eastern Canada, and in the province of Quebec. And of course, this show is every Fridays, except there was some exceptional moments where I couldn't be here, but in general, this show is every Fridays at 2000 hours Universal Time. We tune to shortwave bands and everything. Today we'll tune into, let's hope so, some amateur satellites. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some satellites and the equipment needed for you to receive them. So it's nice to have everybody on board. And hope that you have a lot of fun. So, hey everybody. Mad Radio DXer, 2 hands of radio, 60 frames per second. Hello there. Mike DX, Dan805, Casey Red Dragon, MDK2, Venster Bank, Bobby Burgess, DX, hello there. Nice to have you here. What do we have? Crooked Ninja on his AR8000, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Luis Arevalo, nice to have you on board with his cat Rambo. Nice, not bad, not bad. DX the cat is in the bedroom taking a nap. And so Bobby Burgess, everybody, Bakar Dusan, nice to have you here. The Vaults, anybody I didn't mention, please say hello. It's fun to see everybody. Thundercat 1 from the North Texas Plains. Bram, nice to have you here. VA2XE in the western part of Montreal. Kamal Zoro, nice to have you here from Morocco. Le Maroc, bienvenue. Brett Wayne, KC2NXP. Christina Cat, nice to have you here. And so today we're going to talk about satellites. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun. It is really cold, Montreal. It's a little cool. It's a little warmer today. We're at -8 right now. -8 Celsius. We had like -19 last night. -18 the other day. Close to 0 Fahrenheit. We've been having very, very cold days this week. And we had our first snowstorm, which left about 20-25 centimeters of snow on the ground. And apparently from now till Christmas, about another 15 to 20 centimeters in total to come. I think, you know, we can't promise, but I think it's safe to say that we have a white Christmas in Montreal, as it's supposed to stay below zero pretty much all week. So nice to have everybody here. Dante Fazio, nice to have you here. Euphratus Goodman, nice to have you here. St. Lucia in the Caribbean, wow, this is nice. Nice to see everybody here, and it's pretty cool to have everyone on board. Before we start, of course, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the beautiful Christmas gift that a friend of mine, aka, you guys know him under the name Fastload in the chat, with this beautiful Grundig receiver, which is a AM, FM, long wave, and it's a general coverage receiver, up to 30 megahertz shortwave. No single sideband, but there's an option in the back for a single sideband add-on. It's the Grundig Satellite Transistor 6001. It's also known as the Satellite 210. It's the same model. So this is a beauty of a radio. I can tell you guys, this thing is top quality. It was made in 1969, so it has the same age as that I have. So at least as long as I remember my age, I remember how old this radio is. So it's 48 years old. It is a pure beauty of technology. I mean, they made here a radio that is astonishing everywhere, from the inside, how it is constructed, to the outside, to the quality of the reception, the sound. It's just an amazing thing. I'm about to do a review coming early next week. You guys will have a review of this thing, and I can tell you, you'll be surprised at all of the intricacies, all the little details, all the little things that this radio has. It is totally amazing, and it actually cost $150 back in 1969. So I converted the $150 of 1969 to what it would be today in a radio. So it's the equivalent of buying a $1,000 radio today. So if you want to have the equivalent, if you spend $1,000 in a radio, that's the equivalent you would have spent in 1969 to purchase this thing. And it's expensive, but when you see how it's constructed, it's crazy. I mean, when you press the buttons here to change band, there's a metal string that pulls a clutch that actually switches the tuning. So you see here, I can tune here, I can tune here, and I can tune here, and each have a different button. So here on the side, there's this button that tunes the shortwave bands. But if I put it, for example, in long wave mode, long waves here, this button tunes long wave, medium wave stays there, shortwave 1 stays here. But look at that. If I change it and I want to listen to FM, now this same button actually tunes this needle. It doesn't tune this one anymore. There's a little string that pulled on a clutch that changed what mechanism inside is tuning. And now I have this. And if I go into shortwave, the multiband shortwave, now it switches to this thing, which is the band that I tune from here. It's a complete mechanical amazement. And there's big drums inside with switches that turn when you turn the band switch here to change the different bands. It's crazy. This thing is crazy built. This thing, you want to have it fixed, you better have somebody that's amazingly good, not just with electronics, but with the mechanics of all of this works. to give you guys an idea, Fastlow gave me this. It comes from his father-in-law, and he cleaned the contacts because it was almost unusable when I got it. When he got it, because of the scratching of all the volume controls and everything, it was very difficult to tune. So he cleaned it very, very intensely inside, so it works perfectly. Now everything switches perfectly. There's no scratching in the sound or anything. But he wanted to align it. He said, hey, it's a 48-year-old radio, and he's got all the equipment to align. And when he looked at the service manual, he said, forget it, I'm not touching anything. It's really too complex, and I'm not going to touch anything because it's just crazy. So this is crazy, a radio, and you guys will see a review of this. So I've been having a lot of fun all week with this, listening to shortwave and different bands. Tuning medium wave was really, really cool. So cool radio, thanks to my friend Fastload. And really, really a lot of fun to tune around with that thing. Okay, what else? Driver Film Shortwave, nice to have you here. Yeah, I saw that you guys had snow in the UK. So really kind of cool. 9805, nice to have you here. Says North Carolina had some snow, about 5 inches. Cool. Here is about I'd say around 10 inches, close to 10 inches we got here. Nirudin Mazari, bonjour, bienvenue d'Algérie. Toujours agréable de vous avoir. Nice to have you on board. So pretty cool. How do I feel about net neutrality? You know, we're going to start by seeing what's going to happen. I think we can't. It's sad. It's something that I find really, really sad that net neutrality rules have been overturned by the FCC. Now it's not over because there's a lot of things happening. There's some lawsuits that are going to happen, and there's a lot of people contacting their congressmen, and more lawmakers in the U.S. have actually changed their idea of net neutrality. What's very complicated here, and I was talking about that on my tech channel, is the fact that the internet service providers paid $101 million to the congressmen across the U.S. so that they let the net neutrality die. I'd say what is probably the worst part of all of that is understanding that money decides the politics of what's happening in the US. And that is sad because when money decides instead of the people, we get things like net neutrality is gone. There's a lot of people that are a little, stressed out. There's, YouTubers. A lot of YouTubers have positioned themselves in favor of net neutrality because, somebody was asking me the other day, will it affect the world? Or it's just a US thing? It affects the world in a sense because say that with net neutrality gone, say that the US ISPs decide that, oh, by the way, this is unlimited internet at $39.95 and this is with Netflix and YouTube, it's $59.95. Why? Because YouTube and Netflix are big bandwidth hog on the internet. YouTube accounts for about 35-40% of traffic in the evening, and Netflix accounts for 35% of traffic in the evening. So both of them together, that means just 60%, 70% of all the traffic on the internet is YouTube and Netflix combined. So I understand one thing here. It is true that they take so much bandwidth. Maybe they should pay for some bandwidth, and that's the first thing that most people think. A lot of people that were looking at net neutrality rules say, I don't think internet service providers are going to say you got to pay extra for YouTube. But what they'll do is they'll go to Google or they'll go to Netflix and they're going to say, Okay, so you are taking a lot of bandwidth on the internet. We need millions in order for you to continue with the service you have at the speed that we're giving it. So I don't know what to say about that, because net neutrality, what's cool is everybody's treated equal, whether you're a giant, YouTube, Google, or a small player. One thing for sure, if there would be some changes to the rules of how net neutrality, of the internet service providers, for example, the minimum internet level would have no YouTube, for example, that could impact me, for example, because some people might not have access to YouTube, so no access to my videos. But we don't know. This is pure speculation, and there's really no idea yet. One article that I've read on, I think it was The Verge, was mentioning how there were no net neutrality rules before 2015, and pretty much the internet went on by itself. So I don't know. Of course, I wish net neutrality would have stayed. I wish it's going to come back, but in the fact that it would not, I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen. I think we got to wait and see. It's the only thing we can do now. But it is really sad. Robert Martin, nice to have you here. KF4LRX, Western North Carolina. Enjoying the show. Thank you very much. So, driver from Shortwave says got -6 Celsius last week. I was at work where it was warm. So here we're about a -19, -18, -19 time. David Fodor, nice to have you here. KD9JEO. So pretty cool. NDK2 says saw an old Alicrafters receiver from 1947. They were asking around $300 for them, and that kind of converted to $300 today. Wow, that's a lot of money. Yes, it does put the complaints about the ICOM 8600 into perspective. Vianney Arsenault, salut, welcome from the eastern part of Quebec. Grundig satellite. Yeah, don't confuse, because that's something that confuses a lot of people. The fact that it's written satellite, it's not because it's receiving satellites. It's a brand, and actually Grundig continued to use the satellite brand over years and years. So you might have a recent Grundig satellite 800, for example. It's just a naming thing. Has nothing to do with satellites at all, for sure. Daxfar74, nice to have you on board from Germany. Next week, Christmas show. Yes, absolutely. Next Friday. Next Friday. Next Friday is the Christmas show. So next Friday at 2000 hours UTC, Santa will be here probably, and we'll have a Christmas show. After that, I'll be taking a break from shows, by the way, for a week. So between Christmas and New Year, no shows. I'm gonna take it easy, take more time to myself a little bit. I've kind of missing a little bit of me time. I need more me time. W89204SWL, nice to have you on board. $10 US for that radio. Even if you offered me $1,000, I'd say no. So don't worry, it's not for sale. Even at $1,000, I would not sell it. So hey, Casey Red Dragon. Yeah, well, Netflix does pay with some providers already a few $1 million, because they were basically throttling them. They were really throttling them, and so what happened is that they gave a few millions so that the Netflix isn't throttled. Which is, I don't know. Mad Radio DXer says network bandwidth demand is going to increase anyway, regardless of service use in the future. So restricting the customer is a waste of time. Yeah, I know. So you know. So Crooked Ninja, you know, there's so much bad things about net neutrality that happened with the FCC when we look at the millions of fake posts. Identity theft. Some people, even some dead people, posted messages saying they don't want net neutrality and so on. That guy Ajit Pai is an idiot. He's clearly there for one simple reason. He's clearly there to just, you know, to just destroy it, and that's it. David Fodor, what antenna I use for the satellite work? I have a mobile vertical that's on the top of a metal shed in the backyard, so it's the 3rd story floor, and it works quite well. It's not the perfect antenna. I mean, there are better antennas for working satellites, obviously. Fastload gave me a discount that I plugged. Discount seems actually worse than my mobile vertical, so I took down the discount and just replugged my mobile vertical for the VHF UHF stuff. Does the job. And for those that have seen my videos on the satellites that I've listened to on the VHF UHF channel, you can see that it's actually not that bad for a mobile, you know, a 99-cent antenna. Basically, I paid 99 cents for it. Wish I would have bought the lot. I mean, they had like 4 or 5. I should have bought all 5 of them. So, anyways. Glenn Goodell, nice to have you on board from Florida, KM4BAP. Probably much warmer in Florida than it is here in Montreal, I can tell you that. So yeah, next week is the Christmas show. So I'll be looking a little bit at what, you know, what happened in the shortwave and the radio world in 2017. Looking into the future, you know, 2018, time flies. I mean, it seems Christmas 2016 was just, you know, a few days ago. Cheers, everybody. I have a selection of beers for tonight and another selections of beer for tomorrow. So I'll have 3 different beers, I think, today and tomorrow. Cheers. Noah 19 over in 20 minutes. Yeah, we'll take a peek, but today we'll concentrate on amateur satellites. A little bit of what I use as software also to check out the different satellites, to know when they are going to be overhead and everything. There's a few things that you can use, and we're going to check that out. Randall Klons, hello there from Chicagoland. Nice to have you here. Funny thing about Ajit Pai is there's a DJ that's well known that has the same name. And yesterday, when they had the net neutrality vote, he started receiving tons and tons of hate messages on his Instagram, and he was wondering why. And he didn't know that. He didn't know that Ajit Pai, the FCC chairman, was hated and had the same name as he has. So he was wondering why he was receiving all these hate messages yesterday. It's like, what the hell is happening? What did I do? It's just he's got the same name. Poor guy. Poor guy. Bobby Burgess, how much are those mobile vertical antennas? The antenna that, in general, the mobile vertical wideband antennas, like the one I'm using, are in the vicinity of anywhere from 40-50 bucks to $100. I've seen a few go on eBay for like around $50. Mine is it's a mobile vertical with a magnetic base, and what I think makes the antenna work really well is the fact that in the backyard I have a metal shed, so when I put it down it really slammed hard because the magnetic base is holding there, and so the metal top is actually creating a perfect equilibrium for that antenna. So maybe that's why it actually is so good for what it is actually. So yeah, they had that security scare when Hadget Pie started talking of net neutrality. So I didn't watch it live. I was like, I don't want to see it. That guy Hadget Pie, he has one of those faces that you look at the face and you're like, I don't want to be your friend. It looks fake. He looks fake. It's really crazy. John Timken, hello there, says it got me hooked looking at buying an old satellite now. There was one of those. There was one on eBay. Fastload sent me the link. There was one on eBay selling for at some point it was at $227, but it was re-listed 3 days after. So I don't believe anybody really gave anything. I wonder if the guy didn't just like go ahead himself, add it to try to boost the price, but didn't sell it. But there was one on eBay, and it was relisted the next day at, I think it's $125 starting price. David Fodder, do you work satellites using an HD? Well, first, I'm not an amateur radio operator, so I can't transmit to the satellite. But you can receive them using a very simple equipment. So either a scanner like this one. This is a Pro 43. I've got a ICOM ICR20 here that I use for the satellites when they are in upper sideband and sideband mode. So I'll use this one. Just with this telescopic, it's actually good enough to receive these satellites, which shows you how little equipment you actually need to receive. I've received satellites on my Pro 43 here using just a little rubber ducky. Even though it's not the best antenna, it kind of works. The only thing with a regular scanner, if you have a regular scanner lying around, you'll have to listen to satellites in FM mode because it's the only mode that they have. So it kind of reduces the number of satellites you can listen to. But still, you can listen to some stuff, even with a very, very simple satellite, basically, a scanner if you want. So radio satellites. There's SwissCube. Let's just check out the frequency for SwissCube and see if it's on. So SwissCube 1, yep, it's on. It's a 435.300. Let's check it out. 435.300. Let's see if it has anything. SwissCube. Is that the only SwissCube there is? I was wondering. Yeah, SwissCube 1. And there's a beacon 435, 505 for the beacon. 505. Let's check out if we hear the beacon. And we'll talk about that, what we can hear on some satellites. So let's see, it's 435. Oh, I found the wrong one. 437. 505. We'll see if we hear something about that. So of course we're going to talk a bit about the different satellites and everything. Bill K3WDR uses Heavens Above. Yep. This I got here on the on my Android phone, Heavens Above. It's a very nice app. So it's a free app, and you can download it from the Google Play Store. Then you just go to radio satellites, and it gives you a list of all the radio satellites coming by time. So that's also kind of cute and fun to check out. So it's pretty cool for that. And here I have GNOME Predict, or G-Predict. This is a Linux machine. It's using GNOME Predict or G-Predict. On Windows I use Orbitron, O-R-B-I-T-R-O-N. And also there's some online resource, the N2YO website, for example. You can actually track satellites from your web browser also. So there's a few things here. X10ADXer, nice to have you on board. Keegan from in Northwest Arkansas. Pretty cool. How long before you get to the satellite discussion? We go through in and out, Bacardi-san. This is it's just a, we go through in and out of satellites and also all sorts of different things, so hang in there. So yeah, I need to get my ticket, absolutely. Absolutely. What else do we have? Are vertical antennas better than long wire antennas? Actually, a long wire will be better if you have low noise, because a vertical antenna has one problem. It's because of its length. It's shorter than a long wire. So on the reception of shortwave, a long wire will be better. But a vertical antenna might be better in the VHF UHF range. It depends on the length of the antenna and everything, but it all depends what you have, what you want to do with it. So really it depends what you want to do with it and how big the vertical is and everything, for sure. But long wires are better for lower frequencies, short wave, long wave, medium wave. Vertical will be more for, like, you know, like Mad Radio DXer is explaining pretty much. So Michelle Uka, nice to have you here. Wanted to ask, you had a video specific to which SDR radio you use in the antenna. I have a couple of videos on SDR that I use, and a few videos on the software. I don't have a lot about the antennas themselves. David Fuller, yes, that's why I'm actually moving around. When you move around, always move around up and down. I used to have this radio controlled by software to stay on the frequency, because there's Doppler shift in the satellite reception. What is Doppler shift? Doppler shift is simply you are getting a frequency. So for example, that Swiss cube was on 437.505. We didn't hear it here. It was just a beacon. Typically when the satellite is approaching you, it starts with a higher frequency. So if it was on 437.505, it might actually be on 437.512, 13, or 14. It could be up to 10 kilohertz high or low. And as the satellite is moving, that frequency continuously goes down. So you have to readjust. On a regular scanner like this one, if you do listen to a FM signal, typically you can't adjust. Most scanners are fixed at 5 kilohertz, or, you know, different types of intervals. If you can't change that, if it's 5 kilohertz, well, you tune to 5 or 10 kilohertz higher, 5 to 10 kilohertz lower, but you got to move your frequency slowly and adjust as you are listening. And when we get one signal, you'll see how the tone changes as we get the satellite, for sure. So, what else do we have here? Yeah, a lot of satellites do have horizontal polarization. That's why I tend to receive the satellites better when they are actually lower, and if they're they're overhead. And usually what happens is amateur radio operators will have specific antennas that are designed for satellite reception. Daniel 05, anyone know if there's a ham band around the 160 megahertz? There is a repeater in that area near me. It does as an ID, but less a static gun on the way. No, there's no there's no ham band allocated on 160, but there's a lot of repeaters across the FM frequency ranges. And at 160 megahertz, one of the things you might be hearing is trains. Railroads are 160, around 160, 161 megahertz, and there are some repeaters. So if you stay there, because it's required by law, by the way, anywhere there's a repeater for any types of services, every 15 minutes or half an hour, it has to ID, and most of them ID in Morse code. So what you are hearing is probably railways in the 160 megahertz. You're probably listening to some railway repeater from one of the railway stations. I hear a lot of railway activity here on 160 megahertz. So it's probably what you're hearing, I would say. So you're watching the live show coming to you from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and we are going to check out a little later on. We should have passes of the Chinese satellites, so we'll be taking a look at that. Somebody was mentioning that weather satellites coming in. Just gonna check out here. Yeah, no, and 19 is coming up in a few minutes. So to give you guys an idea of Doppler shift, we're gonna go and check out. What the hell? Did it already pass, or no, it's coming to us? So we're going to check it out. Okay, so NOAA 19 is a weather satellite, by the way. So but the vertical antenna, but it and remember, Bobby, for the antenna thing, for satellite listening, a vertical antenna is not the best, because it the vertical antenna is made to receive at the ground level. So for example, in my case, when I get a satellite coming through, what I'm gonna have is receive of the signal while the satellite is low and up to a certain point. But if the satellite has a pass that it's right overhead, my vertical antenna is not going to receive right overhead. It's not made for that. So it's kind of interesting to do that. Yeah, SwissCube is gone now. It's actually passed, and I did try it, driver film shortwave, and did not hear the beacon. So what type of things that we can listen to on satellites? So let's just try the weather satellite here, 137. I think this one is on 9. I'm trying to remember. No, 19 I think is on 137.1. I'm going to check it out here. On 137.912. I'm going to wait till it's there because it's starting its pass. NOAA weather is a a weather satellite. It's if you are Bobby, if you are listening 137 100, thanks Casey Red Dragon. If you are listening to satellites, I would probably prefer a good discount than a vertical because of the angle of the elements. It might actually be better at receiving satellites. Of course, you know, most amateur radar operators that go on satellites have directional antennas that are polarized for the satellites. They get the much better signal. But for anybody that can't really have any fancy things, I would say that a discount probably will receive satellites better. But you know, it's probably because of the discount I have here, technically, because my vertical antenna is actually better for some reason. But whatever you use, a vertical antenna outside is still going to work. It's still going to work as long as it's outside, for sure. So yeah, tape measure Yagi. Oh man, yeah, with those metal tape measures. So here we go. This is a. It's not very strong here. It's still in the noise. If I put it in sideband, if you guys hear the tones, that's a NOAA satellite. So that's a NOAA weather satellite coming in. Usually you listen to the NOAA weather satellites in FM mode. And it's coming slowly. It's going to be stronger soon. So that one is on 137 100. So what that means, it's going to start its pass around 137 108 and slowly come down with the frequency as the Doppler shift, with the Doppler shift of the moving satellite. We'll wait till it's stronger, but this is a NOAA weather satellite. If you use, if you have because now I'm not wide enough, I need to use an SDR for it. But with the SDR and a good signal, you can use WeatherSat software on Windows and decode the image from the weather satellite here. So what you're hearing here is the NOAA 19 satellite crossing overhead. And as it gets better, it's going to have a much stronger signal in a couple of minutes. So since we're talking more about amateur satellites today, what can you hear on amateur radio satellites? So yes, Bobby Burgess, it's pretty much that. A long wire will probably be better for shortwave and any low frequencies. Even the bottom part, you know, for example, many times, Bobby, even up to 54 megahertz, the low VHF range, up to the 6 meter ham band, even that sometimes is better on the long wire than it is on a discount or a vertical. But when you get into higher frequencies, you know, 2 meter band, 144 and so on, you need to use either a vertical or a discount. A good discount usually is pretty much it's very good. It's usually even better than a vertical, for sure. So Michel book as a discount for his VHF UHF range and a long wire below 30. Same here. Here I got the mobile vertical. The mobile vertical I have is a wideband mobile. It's made for 30 megahertz to 1.3 gigahertz, and it's also made for transmission on 2 meters 70 centimeters. It's made for that. And on, of course, for the shortwave below 30 megahertz, I use a sloper antenna, which is a kind of a long wire antenna if you want. So look at that, guys. So this is NOAA weather. As that passes by, we're going to try to get some amateur stuff. So there's CO58 here coming by. So this one is going to be an example of one of the things that you can hear. So CO58. Hey, the random hobbyist, nice to have you here. Nice to have you on board. And congratulations, Sputnik, on your newborn daughter. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Just really congratulations there. They're cute. So cute at that age. And, you know, someday they'll grow up and they're going to say, hey, Dad, I want some money to go out tonight. And Dad, got a new boyfriend. That one's going to be even scarier, especially for a daughter. What I use actually, David Fodder, is ion fed. My sloper is an ion fed. It comes from that Holland manufacturer. It's a gift from a user, and you can either set it up as a long wire, or I've set it up as a sloper, so it has an angle from the top of the balcony here all to the east side of the backyard and the fence, just above the fence. So enjoy it while they're young and you know, innocent, random hobbyist. And also at that age, when they're brand new like that, it's makes the nights a little shorter. So Yanni Arsenault says the best, I think, is to get vertical and horizontal and vert in V. For me, the vertical sometimes give me a better signal in long distance. So get both. So you know, it's, you know. So let's check out CO58 here. This one has a beacon. So some satellites have only one thing working. So when you look at satellites, the different types of satellites, you'll see there's different types of signals you can listen to. And on a lot of the satellites, what you'll be able to receive, first of all, is a beacon. The beacon is usually in Morse code, and it's, if you have a single sideband capable receiver, one of the easiest thing to listen to from any satellites. And if it has different other modes that you can actually listen to, then if you hear the beacon, you typically can try the other modes. So let's try CO58 here, which is not too bad, on 437, 465. 437 on 465. Let's check that out. There we go. I don't know if you guys hear it. It's very weak, but it's there. This is CO58. It's the beacon of CO58, Charlie Oscar 58, which is one of the satellites. It is the only thing we can listen to on that amateur satellite. It's a beacon. And by the way, when you listen to a beacon of any satellite in Morse code, one thing you got to remember is that the beacon is sending out a lot of information in Morse code. And almost every satellite, if you search on the web for the university or the group, the amateur radio group that actually made that satellite, they often have a little piece of software you can download. And that piece of software is going to give you the information about what that beacon is actually telling you. The beacon will often send its amateur radio call sign, because every amateur satellite has a call sign, and it will send out all sorts of telemetry information, like you know, internal temperature of the satellite, the voltage on the battery or the solar panels, all sorts of details like that. You know, the health of the satellite itself. So there's a few things like that that are interesting. So that's one type of satellite. And the beacon is the first thing. So CO58, this one, the only thing we can hear is, you know, the Morse code. The Morse code beacon out of it. Now, a lot of people say, well, you know, what's interesting in listening to, you know, a Morse code or just tones? And, you know, we're all different, you know. For me, it's just the amazing fact that I'm listening to a satellite on my radio. I'm listening to something that's in outer space orbiting Earth. And just that is kind of cool. You know, it's like, I don't care even if it's tones, but it's kind of cool. For those that don't have single sideband capabilities, there's a few satellites that actually are FM repeaters. One of the easiest satellites to listen to, even on a little, very, very simple scanner like this one, even if you have a basic scanner, remember Amateur Oscar 91, AO91. That one is a FM repeater. So if anybody that knows 2-meter band, listen to amateur radio on the 2-meter band, know that there are repeaters. You can actually extend the distance of communication using a repeater in the middle somewhere. Satellites can be used as repeaters. And Amateur Oscar 91, AO91, is a repeater in the sky, basically. So amateur radio operators send up a signal on the 70 centimeter band, which is a 400 megahertz ham band. And typically, you listen on the 2-meter band. AO91 is on 145.960. Anybody that has just a basic scanner, rubber duck antenna, and want to listen to a satellite, just take note of AO91, Amateur Oscar 91. It is great. I've posted a video or two on my VHF channel of me receiving it here. It is amazing. It is a FM repeater, so that means you don't need single sideband or anything. Remember, tune a little bit up. You know, if you can tune 145.965 or 970 when it starts to get in your vicinity, and slowly tune down, and you will actually receive amateur radio operators making contact through the satellite. If you have just a basic scanner like this, go outside. At these frequencies, the attenuation that you will get from your house is enough to maybe prevent you from getting a clear signal. So go outside, go to a park, anywhere, go in your backyard, and when the satellite's passing over, and that's the very important task, you need to make sure the satellite is overhead. You're not going to receive, these are not geosynchronous orbit satellites. They're not there all the time. You notice here I've been looking at this map because this is all the satellites moving around. And I got to check what satellite is in my vicinity. Typically, the satellites will move and turn around and come back approximately every 90 minutes. But they have only a certain number of passes every day. So for example, that satellite that I just heard the beacon, the next pass might also be possible, but it will be lower because this one was pretty good for me, very high in the sky. But usually 2 passes is pretty much what you'll have because of the Earth turns. So for example, the satellite is always in the same orbit, but the Earth turns. So it moves, it shifts where the satellite can be received every hour and every 2 hours. So typically, most amateur satellites, you'll have 2 chances every day. You'll have what I call a morning pass and an evening pass, or you know, it could be a middle of the night pass and a middle afternoon pass. But you'll have 2 chances every day to listen to a given satellite. There's always a time every day for every satellite. So if you look at AO91, when it will pass next to you or where you live, you will see that it will pass, and you'll be able to hear it twice, or you know, at 2 periods of time in the day, either once or twice, depending on how it's passing by. The other thing you gotta understand is how high in the sky the satellite will be when it's actually going over you. Because not all passes are perfect. They're not always straight overhead. Sometimes they can be very low on one side, very low on another side. It's still there, but the lower the satellite, the farther away from you it is, the weaker the signal will be. So you got to understand that also. If you use a little scanner like this, make sure you move around with it. So if I would listen to one of those, so let's take this one for example. So I would go outside with this and try to tune it. I would be moving like this all the time, because you'll find positions where the signal is better. And you know, once you find one, sometimes it's very awkward. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, this is the best way to hear it. So you'll just like, okay, I'm going to stay like this a little bit, but you'll see that as the satellite shifts, you'll have to move slowly and try to find the best angle. When your antenna is just a little rubber ducky, you got to move a lot to give it the maximum signal available. It's not like if you had a vertical, if you not a vertical, but a directional antenna, then you'd have much more signal with it. But you know, it's really the easiest satellite. I can tell you, 145960, and remember amateur Oscars 91, AO 91. Anybody with just a basic scanner will be able to receive that. You just need to know when it's going to be over your head. So, what else do we have? Just check. So, no problem, Radio Obvious, Random Obvious. Really nice to have you here, and it is absolutely a beautiful experience. I've never witnessed it personally, but I got a lot of nephews and nieces around, so I can tell you that it's been close enough for me to you know. Yeah, exactly. VNA is like what he's saying, and Mike DX also says signals from space are always exciting, so it's really cool. Yeah, MSAT has a lot of information. One of the best lists, updated lists that I like for those that want to listen to satellites and know what frequencies they are using. Now it hasn't been updated in a little while, but its last update is December 2nd. There's a list made by a Japanese amateur, JE9PEL, that actually is amazing and letting you know what are the frequencies and the modes used. So I'm going to post that here. So it's the satellite list from this guy. It's pretty good. AMSAT website is also good for information. One of the things that you gotta know is that satellites have different modes, and sometimes they break down. They often break down, by the way. So it's so the frequency of the AO91 satellite is 145960, plus or minus about 10 kilohertz. Remember that. It's a little high in frequency when it arrives, and as it moves through, you'll have to go slowly lower and lower. So in actual tuning, you'll be between 145970 and 145950 because of the Doppler shift. But its center frequency is 145960. So that's pretty cool. Hey, Rich in Atlanta, Georgia. Nice to have you here. And says you should check out the latest Shortwave listening post. Just emailed. Bad news for WBCQ. Oh, really? They're having problems? You know what? WBCQ had a... they had a transmitter down, I think. There's something happening that I'm not sure. And in the past, have you guys heard WBCQ lately? I've not heard any of their frequencies here, and I was wondering if they were on. I'm gonna check that out, Richard. Thanks for the for the tip. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out now so we can talk about it maybe. Driver Film says, there was a time I picked up the International Space Station. Could not believe I heard Paul and his buddy talking. Yeah, absolutely. You can listen to the International Space Station. For those that were new about it last week, there were some slow scan TV pictures sent down. I have a couple of videos on the VHF channel for sure. Dogner 74 satellites are sending, and the amateur satellites we listen to, most of them are in the amateur bands. So 2 meters, 145 megahertz, usually bottom part of 145 to 146 megahertz. 70 centimeters, which is about, most of them are between 435 and 438 megahertz. There's a few of them that are in the 2 gigahertz or 1 gigahertz amateur bands, but most of them are in the megahertz. The gigahertz satellites are mostly, the commercial satellites that send TV signals and all sorts of things like that. Those are much, much higher in frequencies. But most of them are receivable within the amateur bands. Hey, Mad Boy. Nice to have all of you here. So, yes, I saw that. Somebody sent me the link. Norway on Wednesday completed its transition to digital radio. First country in the world to shut down the FM broadcast. I wonder how many people will have purchased a radio. I mean, I'm a radio guy, so if it would happen, I would probably purchase a radio for that just because I want to see how it is. But say I would not be a radio guy. If the FM networks do that, personally, I'm just going to say the hell with it. I'm going to listen and stream through my phone. The hell with it. I'm not buying a radio. You know, I think that's something that, crazy. I'm really okay. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Hey, I'm Mapper. Nice to have you on the board from Moscow. Nice to have you here. According to a study, the share of Norwegians who listen to the radio on a daily basis has dropped by 10% in 1 year. And public broadcast, NRK, has lost 21% of its audience. I don't think that that's going to help. So, Two Ends on Radio says, WBCQ suffered a transmitter fire earlier this week, destroying one of our main transmitters. Huh. Wow. Okay. Crazy. Crazy. Do you get HD radio in Canada? We don't really have any HD stuff in Canada on the radio bands. I can tell you that. So, did they shift when they switched off? I guess they used different frequencies for the digital broadcasts, I would say. So I would guess. So here there's a SO50 satellite that's passing by. Let's just try that one. 430 SO50. I don't remember the satellite frequencies by heart, so I always look at the list. Just gonna see if we can hear. SO50 is another one. It's also called Saudi Sat 1C, but Sierra Oscar 50, 436,795. This one is also for anybody that doesn't have the capabilities of for receiving single sideband. This is another one that's passing by right now, but I don't hear really a lot of signals. I don't hear nothing right now. It's one of those satellites that's also receivable by a regular scanner. But this one is on a higher frequency. It's 436.795, and it's a little harder to receive. So you'll have a harder time than with AO91 to receive the FM signal. But SO50 is another very nice satellite. If you don't have single sideband capability, you have just a regular down-to-earth scanner. You go outside, try it out. 436.795, and don't despair because people don't listen long enough. By the way, one of the biggest problems with the satellites is people don't take the time to listen. It's you know, it's you're not gonna hear it like a regular, you know, broadcast. I mean, you gotta be patient and listen to it. So here, you know, we hear in North America things that about you know, the FM band being like closed down for digital stuff and so on. But honestly, there's not a lot of it's going to take a long time for anybody to do so. In addition, radio users have complained about the cost of having to buy new receivers or adapters priced around 100 to 200 euros. I mean, you know, I gotta tell you one thing. People here, and I see it all the time. You know, when I was a tech guy, I can tell you one thing. People have a lot of difficulty spending more than 20 bucks on a radio. Most people that I've seen, if the radio is like 30, 40, 50 bucks, it's like, wow, this is expensive for a radio. And I can't see that happening here. And you know what I will actually say also about that? You've just rendered millions of radios almost useless, which I do not think. No, honestly, do you guys really think that bringing digital audio to FM will change the amount of people listening in? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. You know? So, I don't know. Mad Boy says, I mean, the only good thing about DAB over FM, at least here in Denmark, is that our FM bands are very limited due to government regulations. So we get only 6-7 stations, including local channels. Huh. European VHF DAB Plus band is in a region of 174 to 240 megahertz. Stations are in big multiplexes like on digital TV. Can send text and pictures and even send newspaper-like articles. Huh. Well, 174 to 240. That's kind of part of the channel one. What was it? The channel 12. I'm trying to remember. Channel 6 to 12 or something like that. Channel 6. What was? No, channel 7 to 12 on the old analog TV. Just above 174, I believe there was like a few TV channels there. I think it was 7 to 12 or something like that. Huh. So Norway, band radio DXer says using DAB band, which is between 140 to 240 approximately, but needs radio with DAB functionality to decode the signal. Okay, kind of interesting. Yeah, XW2D is one of the satellites coming in. So we're going to have a series of passes, and they're going to come back in 90 minutes. So if we're still in the air, we're going to have another pass in 90 minutes that might be even better. XW series of satellites are amazing satellites. They are Chinese satellites, and they actually have basically single sideband repeater functionalities. So amateur stations will actually broadcast on the 70 centimeter band in single sideband, and will actually the downlink signals will be in 2-meter band. And there are several of these channels. There's XW2A, 2B, 2C, 2D. 2E doesn't work, but 2F is also good. And what's cool is they all follow each other. So the 2D one is coming in for a pass in a few minutes. It's not a best pass, but we're going to try it and see if we can hear the East Coast amateurs talking. And the other ones are following. So we see 2D is here, 2B is down here, 2A is right there, and 2C is here. They're all going to pass one after the other, which makes it really, really cool to listen to these signals. So 2D is, the beacon is on 145.855, and the signals are from 145.860 to 145.880. So we're going to try that out. So let's put 145.855 here. Put ourselves in sideband, and we're going to try XW2D. It's not the best pass. The best pass will be the next one because it's going to get closer. This one is pretty much smack in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's going to barely touch the Newfoundland, Canada. So it's not the best for me, but it is still a possibility of receiving something. We're going to try it out. But the next pass will be much, much better for reception. So these ones are voice. You'll hear single sideband voice communications, which is very cool. So you hear amateur radio stations talking to each other when the pass is going through. And of course you need a single sideband capable scanner radio or communications receiver, like the ICOM ICR20 I got there, or my ICOM ICR 8500 in this case over here. So we're going to try that out now and see if we can hear some voice amateurs, which is pretty cool. Cricket Ninja, did anyone monitor Geminid's meteor shower? Got some good pings. Yeah, there were a lot. That one, the Geminids are known to be really good and really bright and really really strong showers every year. Here it was cloudy, but I remember one December night about 10 years ago. I went to a park, and it was one of those rare December nights when it was like about 0 degrees or even maybe above, so it wasn't too cold. So I stood in the park for about an hour, and I remember even in the city here seeing a couple of meteors with that shower. It's a good shower. For people that do satellite, not satellite, but meteor scatter on VHF, that one's a good one. So pretty cool. So what else do we have? Let me go down slowly. But I can't see a lot of people. Honestly, I can't see a lot of people buying a new radio to listen to the digital stuff. I mean, if you're not listening to the radio, why would you buy a radio? Can you tell me? Honestly. You're not listening to the radio. You're going to buy a digital radio? No. You're just not going to listen to the radio. You're even going to say, the hell with it, I'm not going to buy a $200 radio. That's my take on it. Dr. Sisop, nice to have you here. Aloha from Hawaii. Nice to have you on board. Fabrice Simonet, bonjour. Bienvenue, nice to have you on board, Fabrice. OH8STN, yeah, transponders. Thanks for the term, but it is transponders, and it's kind of cool to listen to the amateur radio operators. So, and thanks for the nice comment, OH8STN, about me keeping up the radio videos. So I'm going to try a little bit. It's really not the best pass. I'm not hearing the beacon right now, so that's not a good idea. I have a lot of noises on VHF today. It's usually very quiet on that band for me, and it's much, much more noisy right now. So nice to have you here. Blanchard 3, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. But, you know, it's pretty crazy. Vianney Arsenault, ISS will be visible for me at 16:36 Quebec time. Sky's super clear here. Here it's cloudy. So it's impossible to, it will be impossible. Some snow tonight here, so no visible. That is cool. When, like the slow scan TV, unfortunately the sky was cloudy when I was receiving it, but even better of a kick is to get the International Space Station, download with a slow scan TV pictures, and seeing it. And seeing it. It's 855. I got the wrong frequency here. 955. No, it's 855. Okay, 855. So I'm not receiving the beacon. That's interesting. It's not a good pass for me. I'm not receiving the beacon. I'm not, if I can't hear the beacon, because usually what I do with these satellites is I listen to the beacon. Once I hear the Morse code of the beacon, I know that I'm okay to listen to. Oh, here's the beacon. So I'm hearing the beacon right now. That was the That's the beacon of XW2D. It's interesting because I hear that weird sound that has a Doppler shift. So that means there's just no amateurs talking right now on it. We hear the beacon pretty well now. Next pass will probably be better. What's the problem with a satellite also, and that's one thing you need to check out, is when you look at the pass, here it's passing to the east of Montreal, and it's not actually, you know, it barely makes half of North America. So what happens when that is like that is that unless the amateurs are on the East Coast, you don't necessarily hear a lot. And in the weekdays, these satellites, even though they have activity, are usually much quieter. There's not as many hams that actually broadcast. Saturdays and Sundays, if you guys want to have more activity, is the time to listen to. Saturdays and Sundays, they're full of people talking. So, hopefully we'll try. The next one coming by is the 2B satellite, which has its signal is going to be AOS, or acquisition of signal, is in 7 minutes. So the next one will be 2B, and that one's on 725 for the beacon and 730 to 750. So hopefully we'll get somebody talking at some point, which would be the best for sure. What model is that Radio Shack radio, Dr. Sissa? OH8 STN, the antenna I have is a mobile vertical. It's a wideband mobile vertical on top of my metal shed. So we've got, once again, the beacon here. Still hear the beacon. And I have a little, it's a higher noise than usual. I hear more noise today than usual. My band is more quiet usually. So hear the beacon. So the beacon's there. It's shifted down now to 145,850. So you can see that when I heard the beacon first, it was on 145,857. And now it's at 145,850 that I hear it. Shows you how the Doppler shift operates. iMapper says, got an ICOM R5. What would you recommend as tabletop, good and affordable scanner for amateur sats? The best thing that I would say is to have if possible, have a receiver that would have single sideband. So affordable. I don't know. Maybe you'd be better off buying some, a used 8500, for example. That would be a great radio for that type of listening. Or get yourself a used transceiver that has single sideband for 2 meters and 70 centimeters. That would work for amateur satellites. And if you get your AM license, well, you can transmit. Or if you have your AM license, you can transmit for sure. So, yeah, I understand that in the car, but, for sure that in the car, it's probably the top radio listening. Even here in Canada, I believe the top radio listening is in cars. Dirtpack 2C, nice to have you here, Dirk. Thank you for a nice comment. So, 200658 is catalog number. I'm going to check that out just for the fun of it. For that type of radio. Okay, Radio Shack AM FM shortwave travel radio. I got it here. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, that's one of the cheap ones that they had at some point. I see one here. Doesn't seem to be very good. It doesn't have a very high rating. They have a refurbished one at $29.99 and a new one for $55. I don't know, but I think I've seen someone on one of the radio blogs that actually had one. I have no idea how they operate, how well they operate, but I did see that it's kind of this is the radio. I'm gonna post it. I don't know if anybody has seen that. Oh, here we go. Actually, let me just check it out. Is that? I think that is one. There's Hammerad 88 channel. I think he has a video of it. Let me just check it out if that's the thing. Yep, I think it is. Yeah, I believe this is close to what it looks like. It's a variant of it anyways. Let's check it out here. Does it resemble that radio? Yeah, it kind of resembles. So anyways, I'll post this link if you guys want to see what that is. But I don't know if it's any good or anything. Mad Radio the Extra says the AOR 8600 NK2 for around 500 pounds. Okay, yeah, an RTL SDR, that's true, I forgot about that, but an RTL SDR on a PC with a good enough antenna and a little bit of tweaking. I've seen some videos of people actually getting some amateur satellites on the SDR. So kind of interesting. So in 2003 made audio contact with the International Space Station. Special. Hear my call sign repeat by the ISS operator N1SS at the time. It is pretty amazing, I gotta say. The only time I heard the operators aboard is when they were contacting schools in the northern part of the United States. That's also something you can listen to with a regular scanner. The International Space Station, if they do some contacts with the ground to talk to students in schools, they often do that. If you're in the vicinity where that's happening and it's passing overhead, in my case, what was happening is they were actually contacting in the northern part of the United States, and I could hear it because the International Space Station was passing just across the U.S.-Canadian border, pretty much a little south of Montreal, but was perfect. And I could hear the amateur operators, not the amateur operators, but the astronauts answer questions from children. That was quite cool. What's also very fun about the International Space Station is that the signals from the International Space Stations are very strong. Any scanner, even the most basic scanner you got, will hear the International Space Station because it gives such a good signal. And Lewis65, nice to have you on board, and pretty cool to have everybody here. So well, that's possible. Let me just check it out here. Yeah, link is working. Oh, that's interesting. It it brings to a page. Okay, yeah, it doesn't work. Oh well. I'll do something here. I'll show you guys if I can. I'll do it another way. So what I'll do is bring up the link. So yeah, I'm getting a page that does not exist here too when I click the link. Weird. I guess it's so John Ritson, nice to have you here. Let me just check it out here. Let's check out if we can oops, do it here. Okay, let's go here. 200. I love Google for that. You search on one and it's already there on this one. So here, guys, this is the radio he's talking about. I'm going to show you the picture from here. So here we go. Oops, actually lowers the so this is the Radio Shack. It actually does not have any model number of any kind. So this is the radio. I don't know if you guys can see it well. This is what it looks like. It's one of those cheap Radio Shacks. It just says Radio Shack, no number, no nothing. Looks like a cheap Chinese model or some sort. That was branded Radio Shack and that's it. Very, very bizarre in the way that it's actually there. So XW2B is upon us. We're going to try to listen to that one. But the next pass is going to be better if it's not working here. By the way. OH8 STN says awesome. I started working sats back in '98 but stopped for lack of time. I'm planning to get back in, building a portable Yagi. With a tripod tracker with everything so that he can actually use it. Many good sats up right now. Great topic. Yeah, there are amazing sats. Absolutely. Amazing sats for sure. And yeah, ISS detector. I do have it, but I kind of like better the Heavens Above for Android. Heavens Above for Android is amazingly good, and it does track Iridium, the Iridium satellites too, which is Iridium flares are really cool. For those that have never seen an Iridium flare in the sky, it is the most amazing thing you will see. It is a little dot that becomes extremely bright and then disappears. It lasts about 10 seconds. You got to know where to look and how to look, but Iridium flares are just amazing. Heavens Above does give you that also. So XW2B giving an elevation of 31 degrees. It's not the best, but we're going to try to listen to that one. So 7-2B is 725. So 725, we'll see if we hear the beacon. So I'm hearing the beacon. That's the beacon. I don't know if you guys can hear it. So the beacon's here. I'm not getting... There's not a lot of activity right now, I can tell you that. Signal's there. We're hearing the beacon here. That's the beacon for XW2B. These are a series of Chinese satellites, by the way. Trevor Film Shortwave says working on sats is on the list for next year. Calvin, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Okay, so they shortened the links. Oh really, XNEDXer. He's got one that looks like it in gray. Huh. Clone of the Texan PL390. Okay, kind of interesting. Really not a lot of activity on these Chinese satellites at the time. Really quiet, really quiet. The next pass might be better because it's gonna actually be around all of North America, so there are more chances we'll hear some amateurs from the United States. It's also going to be a little later, so maybe it's going to give us a chance. I still hear the beacon. Unfortunately, all we're getting right now is beacons. That's live shows for you. Not getting what you want. We're going to try. There's 2F coming up also. We'll try 2F. So Dr. Sisov says shortwave is good and quirk, but the FM is bad sound. Huh. Kind of interesting. Hey, Nils Pedersen, nice to have you on board from Sweden. Jerry, we have about I'd say something like 10 inches of snow here. 8 to 10 inches we had this week. We're going to have some tonight. We're going to have some next week. So I think we're going to have a white Christmas. Yeah, I got a lot of decodes from SlowScan TV from the International Space Station last week. Really was a lot of fun. I got 3-4 very clear decodes of SlowScan TV pictures. It was really amazing. I love it when they do the SlowScan picture stuff. It really would have been fun if there would be, like, you know, now while that would be doing that now, because I mean there's a passive DISS right now over Montreal, and it would be so cool to have such a you know, a live decode of a SlowScan TV picture. That's also something that you don't need a lot of equipment. They send their SlowScan TV picture in FM mode. So with any little scanner, as long as the signal's strong enough, and you know, a SlowScan TV decoding software, you decode super beautiful pictures from the International Space Station. One thing though that I was kind of surprised, and I don't know if you guys will agree with me. I mean, the International Space Station has been paid in huge part by the United States of America. I mean, that thing is $100 billion. But why is it that every time they have some SlowScan TV pictures, it's always about some Russian achievement in science or space exploration? Has anyone ever received SlowScan TV pictures of American astronauts or something? It came to mind when because I remember that the 2 or last 3 times that I received some SlowScan stuff, they were all Russian. I remember the other time was in commemoration of Yuri Gagarin, the first astronaut, and Sputnik, first satellite. I mean, aren't there SlowScan TV pictures from the U.S. space program somewhere? I kind of, okay. You know, it's mostly considering that the United States did pay a really big chunk for the International Space Station to be up there. And anyways. Niels, you're drooling over my radio. Yes, I love this thing. It is an amazing thing. Tomorrow we're gonna turn it on, and tomorrow there's a show, by the way, for anyone. Tomorrow there's another show. We have a shortwave show tomorrow. We're gonna turn this thing on tomorrow, and we're gonna tune around with it. So if you guys want to see this baby work, tomorrow is the time. We're gonna be listening to some shortwave on this. So pretty. Casey Red Dragon, how do you transmit to amateur satellite? Well, to transmit in general, most people will use directional antennas. You need to also, especially for the single sideband ones, you need to have you know, a controlled receiver, because you need to actually compensate for the Doppler shift. If you don't, your signal is going to like move around everywhere on the frequencies, and we see that sometimes. There's some kind of you know, probably somebody in the chat might be really good at explaining how the transponders work on amateur satellites, but you got to kind of you know, compensate for the Doppler. You got to and most of them will use directional antennas to have the strongest signal possible through the satellite. I've seen, if you look on YouTube, on the FM ones, the FM satellites, some just use little handy talkies and have this. They often have on the one end just a little portable directional antenna, and they point it at the satellite, because one of the things you need to know is where the satellite is in your sky all the time, because that's how you'll be able to you know, have the best signal. Okay, that's one answer, false, but still, I understand. Okay, so basically they would like to have a, we need a US module sending amateur stuff. I guess. So what else do we have? Just go down slowly. DJ STMA, nice to have you here. And says, I was quite impressed on your introduction to shortwave series. I currently instruct communication skills British Army recruits. The series really helped with my own knowledge. Thanks. Well, cool. I really am happy to you know, when I help people like that with some of my own stuff, it's pretty cool. And it's really nice, you know, to know that you know, I've helped some people get into the hobby or have them learn a little more about specifics of the hobby. It's kind of cool. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Bill K3WDR says N2YO website tells if the satellite is active and what frequency it uses. N2YO website is another great website to use if you want to learn N2YO. So here you can search for any satellites, and it's going to tell you all the details you need to know. It's a great website for anybody that wants to learn more and see where the satellites are in orbit. One of the great websites, and you don't have to install any software to track satellites. So Vianney says, yes, I have received SSTV picture here for US identifications. Okay, kind of interesting. There's XW2F passing by. Let's try that one. You know, I'm telling you guys, they're all following each other one after the other. It's pretty amazing. I really like that. So XW2F is on 145975. So let's move up. 975. Let's see if we hear the beacon. I always start by the beacon because the beacon is a great indication, one, that at least the satellite is active, working, and then if you hear the beacon, you can, you know, try for the transmissions of amateur radar operators. So the beacon. Let's try 4 amateurs. Yeah, here we go. There's something here. There's somebody talking. Here we go. Here, there was an amateur calling. The signals are not strong today. But that beacon is much stronger than the other ones. Somebody called CQ, but often what happens, I've heard so many amateurs on these satellites that actually called CQ and never got a reply. So at sometimes there's not a lot of activity and the guys give up. Kilo Charlie 4, Kilo Mike Yankee. That's kind of cool. I at least heard one. Kilo Charlie 4, Kilo Mike Yankee. There we go. We heard one amateur station. At least is our first amateur station we hear. So hopefully we're going to hear something more. Jerry says heard some hams honoring Apollo missions. Okay. Something again. Pretty amazing, but when there's a lot of amateur radio operators, it's kind of cool. Yeah, that grunting is amazing. So tomorrow we're gonna... So, try the last one. Nope, but we hear the beacon. It's amazing, we hear the beacon, and it's amazing to think that the satellite is now totally in the northern part of the province of Quebec, in the far north. It's pretty amazing when you think about it, that you receive these signals. So that's the beacon. So we're going to try, there's XWTC coming up. So if we heard something on 2F, there's a possibility that XW2C will give us something also. So people mentioning that some kind of interference of WWV, WWVH. I don't see why North Korea would jam WWV time signal. They're really like, you know. So what is a beacon and what is it used for? So a beacon for amateur radio satellites, and for not just for amateur radio satellites, for amateur radio in general. Usually a beacon is there to simply, a lot of, they have different purposes. They could be for propagation purpose. For example, the 10-meter band is full of beacons. It's for propagation, so to know when the 10-meter band is open, into what area. Those will send typically only call signs. In the satellites, the beacons will actually kind of be the identification of the satellite itself. So in that Morse code from the beacon, you'll get the call sign. Each satellite, being amateur radio operated, have a call sign. So you'll have the call sign, which will give you an idea of who built it, from what country it is. A lot of the information also sent by the beacon is information about the satellite itself, its status, its health. And one of the things that the beacon will also be important is in knowing if you're receiving the station. So the beacon is also useful for propagation purposes, to know the satellite's there, basically. So there's different information that can be sent through it. It could be a simple call sign, it could be more than that, but very often beacons are there for propagation purposes, to let us know if you can hear it or not. Yes, I am a lucky guy. I gotta say, this was an amazing Christmas gift. The funniest thing about this radio is when Fastload got it from his father-in-law. He cleaned it up, sent me some pictures saying, hey, look at the beauty. And I was like, drooling over my phone. And so what happened is, last week he called me up and he texted me and said, hey, I'm the karaoke bar. What are you doing? Come have a beer. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go get, I'm gonna go have a beer. So he had it in his car, in the trunk of his car. So he brought it out, put it on the table in the karaoke bar. And I said, wow, it's really beautiful. And he looked at me and said, Merry Christmas. And I said, what? I said, yeah, Merry Christmas. And typically what he told me, and he told me that a few times, is, you know what? I cleaned it up. I cleaned the contacts. It's in top shape, working order. And the reason why I'm having it here, he just told me, you're the only one I think of that can and will use it regularly. That it's not just going to stay there and do nothing. You will turn it on and use it and listen to the radio with it. And yes, I've listened every night, almost every night. Yesterday evening I was actually having a lot of fun with it. I compared my GP5 SSB on medium wave using the little antenna here, and I tuned medium wave band slowly on this and slowly on this one with the antenna that was turning around. And all I can say is it's amazing for two things. First, this is amazing because this thing caught all the stations, and it's such a this is such a great clear indication of how we've moved on in technology. 1969, heavy, full of buttons and very complex, to very complex, quite a lot of buttons, but so small, and does everything that this thing does, plus has single sideband. And you're like, wow, we've moved on to amazing small technology that do so many things. But one thing I realized yesterday, listening to medium wave on this is great, but the signals were easier to listen to on this one. This one, when the signals were fading in and out, was kind of a harsh audio. This one, the signal was fading in and out, and it was still clear, even in the fade outs, unless they were really deep fade outs. It was still clear. And it was a lot of fun. I actually started doing it. It was like midnight, and I looked at the clock. And suddenly, I look at the clock, and it's like, wow, it's 1:30 in the morning. I had 1 hour and a half of medium wave listening, comparing both radios, and that passed just like that. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to go to bed. But I had a lot of fun, and tonight I'm gonna play with this much more. I even listened to the snow removal crews, because the trucks that actually have this pick up the snow are privately owned here, and they all have CBs. So I went to this 27 megahertz CB band on this, and I was listening to the trucks that were actually getting filled with snow as the snow removal crews are moving around here. So it's kind of fun. I just left it there for a while today. And this one too was comparing with this also. And I plugged it in on my sloper antenna, so I can listen from the sloper antenna outside in the backyard, which is also very cool. So I really had a lot of fun. I gotta say, this thing is cool. And tomorrow I'm gonna listen to it, okay guys? Okay, what else do we have? Radio Hobbyist, nice to have you here, saying hello, and pretty cool to have you on board. And happy 60th birthday, man. Happy 60th birthday. And have fun at your birthday party. And you know what? That calls for a new beer. Calls for a new beer. So a gift from God, a don de Dieu. I will open this beer and do a little cheers for your 60th birthday, man. It's appreciated for you to come over, say a little hi, and hope that you have a great time. And time flies, so make sure that you take care and that you have a lot of fun. So happy 60th birthday, man. Yeah, exactly. I was saying H8. So in satellites they have more information most of the time. So what else do we have? What else do we have? Dr. Sisup, can you get 3.15 megahertz or 3.18 megahertz? There's nothing here around that spectrum, Dr. Sisup. Here, the closest thing I will hear around that frequency range is WWRB, I believe, on 3185. So, pretty cool. 11-meter chicken band. Yeah, and the new open free band, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, but 27415 to 27995 is not, from what I know, is not official. It's kind of an illegal thing. I'm not sure it is officialized. Personally, I don't think it is officialized. Yeah, it says, yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes I use radio here to listen or contact stations, and suddenly in the evening I can see it's early, but in the next day, yeah, time flies. I mean, when you have a lot of fun, time flies, man. So, rumors of seawater antennas being utilized as a more efficient antenna. Well, one thing for sure is that anywhere where there's big body of water, it's always something that is helpful in propagation of signals. I can tell you that. So hey, once again, happy 60th. That's weird. I thought outside of the CB band it was illegal. Kind of weird. So XW2C, let's try that satellite. It's coming in right now. XW2C is on 145790. 145790 for the beacon. Let's try the beacon. Yep, beacon is here. So let's see if we hear amateur radios. WD8BIL. WD8BIL. The station from Ohio. Incredible. Some of his spikes actually make my S meter go up to a S3, S4 sometimes. As you see, guys, we hear some stuff here. Now that's what I wanted to have live. Some amateur radio operators getting contacts there. Pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I've seen Niels Pedersen, that HX Data D808 shortwave radio. H8 says Saturday here, so I'm going to head to bed. Take care, my friend. It was nice to have you on board, and I will be there tomorrow at 2000 hours UTC again, Julian. And next week, Friday, we have our shortwave Christmas show on Friday at 2000 hours UTC. Hope you can join in. Gary Stephenson, hello there. Nice to have you on board from Ohio. WW8 is O. Do you or have you ever used a mag loop antenna on any radios? I know that the mag loop do not set. Not personally. I know a lot of people that do have magnetic loops and they seem to love it. It seems to really, really lower a lot the noise they have. But Skywave the Extra says it is illegal to use 27555 in the US. That's what I think. I think outside the regular ham bands, it's illegal. So, but you know, 27555. You know, there's an amateur radio operator that I hear on the 80 meter band at night here regularly, and I recognize his voice. He's often on 27555 trying to contact Europe when the band is open. You know. Gary Stephenson. This is on Linux, so this is GNOME Predict, G-Predict. But on Windows, I have Orbitron that I use. That's really good. And if you have an Android device, there's Heavens Above that is really, really good also. Heavens Above will give you all the satellites. So, for example, XW2C is just passed, and it's actually telling me that it's just passed now. HO68 is giving me the different satellites coming over, so it's kind of cool. So that's another one. Evans Above, and N2YO website is also a great place to check for satellites, and don't need a program for that. So hey, Fastload, nice to have you on board. Nice to have you on board as usual. And yes, the Granding is on the show. Tomorrow the Granding is going to be even live on the show. We're going to tune around with it a little bit tomorrow. The sound on this thing is amazing. I mean, such rich frequencies. You know, when they say a room filling sound? This radio does room filling sounds. It's just amazing. So OH8STN, send me a little email, or I'm even gonna check it out. I'm gonna find your channel. Is it a radio only channel? I'll do a little review of your channel and let everybody know you exist. I like sharing YouTube with other YouTubers that actually have radio videos online. So I will absolutely, if you have radio videos online, I will absolutely talk about you also. Thanks for being here. Really cool. Well, actually, it's, from what I know, Matt Radio DXer, 27555, in that vicinity is, I believe, some kind of utility band. I have seen some reports of maritime, or not, is it maritime, or anyway, some utility stations, and the upper part above, just below the 10-meter band, but above the CB band. So, you know, it is allocated. All the spectrum, and that's one thing that you got to understand. And the shortwave spectrum up to 30 megahertz, every allocation is and has a purpose. It is not true that there's no allocation and that some parts of the bands are not allocated to anything. Every portions of the bands are allocated for stuff. And I do believe from 27, just above the CB band, 27.05 to 28 megahertz, I do believe this is a utility band, and even though it might not be used anymore because of low solar activity and everything, I have seen some stations. Let me just check. I think I can find something here. Okay, to give you guys an idea, let me just check it out if I see it here. So, what is it? Now, there was a list somewhere. There's some military stuff. I saw some military, U.S. military frequencies being used in that vicinity. It is allocated to some types of utilities. I'm pretty sure I've seen someone. Hello there, Evan Tinney. Nice to have you on board from East Texas. Pretty cool. But what else do we have? Hey, Niels Pedersen, take care. It was nice to have you on board. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you on board also, and no problem with that. And hope you have fun at that Christmas party in church. And we'll be back tomorrow anyways, 2000 UT. We'll be back Friday with the Christmas show. So officially the maritime band goes to 27,500. Yeah, and there's some other things there. And I do seem to remember that some U.S. military and even maybe some NASA frequencies have some use in that area. So take care, Niels Pedersen. Always nice to have you here. Yeah, that's for sure. That if you broadcast on something else than the regular frequencies you're supposed to, But you know what, Dr. Sisop, 90% of people that get busted by the FCC or whatever, is in your country for communications, usually is because that station was interfering with someone. You almost always get caught because somebody complained about you. Almost never get caught if nobody ever complains. So if you go on a frequency out of band and transmit, if you ain't interfering with no one, there is very little chance you'll ever get caught. Almost every time when somebody gets caught, even pirates, when there's pirates in the regular pirate bands, almost all the time when they get caught, somebody complained. It's almost like that. 25 to 26 megahertz. Yes, no problem. I did see it, Bobby. I was just saying it in advance in case I don't see you leave a little later, and I wanted to say at least have fun at your Christmas party. 25 to 26 megahertz, Dr. Sisop. There's a international broadcast band that is not used anymore in there, which is around 25,700 to 26,100. In the bottom part of 25 megahertz, so 25 megahertz on the spot, there's WWV, still experimental there. I haven't heard it in a long time on that frequency. Propagation doesn't bring the maximum usable frequency high enough. And 25 to about 25.7 is a utility band. There's all sorts of things there that are actually written in that part of the band, including some. I've seen a lot of stuff there that are. Just check it out here. There's also some studio link transmitters. There's quite a lot of stuff. The problem with not hearing anything on, we were talking about that, not hearing much above 20 megahertz. And the big problem with above 20 megahertz not hearing much has a lot to do with propagation more than anything else. Because if you look at the spectrum from 20 to 30 megahertz, there are tons of things there. There's a lot of stuff that's written in there, maritime stuff, there's aeronautical frequencies, there's all sorts of things. The problem is, with the very low solar activity we got right now, these frequencies are not propagating well. That's what's happening. That's really what's happening. Yeah, well, CRTC here and actually here in Canada now, it's Industry Canada, and the FCC in the United States. You know what? It's just basically it's just they don't have the manpower anymore. It's not like in the 70s. In the 70s, they had teams of people everywhere that would work to basically have you stop whatever you were doing illegal. Today it's not that anymore. Today it's simply there's two people across Canada, and it's like in the US, they're like 3 or 4 and across all the US, so they can't do anything because they don't have the manpower anymore to do anything. It's much easier to be and do whatever you want on the radio frequencies today than ever. The only thing is, don't interfere with some important thing. Because I'm going to tell you, if you do, they will get you. But if you ain't, they're just going to, and yeah, they don't do anything anymore. It's like fast load. It's like technically, okay, just you guys have seen any electronic device, that little sticker. I'm sure most of you have seen one of the electronic devices that you've bought that has a little sticker that says this is, in conformity of this type of regulation, but if it interferes with something else, you got to stop using it. I'm sure most of you have seen one of these stickers in some devices, electronic devices we have. They're everywhere on devices that have been officially looked at for the level of interference they cause. Now, that said, if you basically use some cheap Chinese things that pass through without ever being checked, And God knows we got millions of these things across North America that cause huge interference problems in here. Okay? I'm sorry, but even if it's a cheap Chinese shit that creates a white noise everywhere, if you call Industry Canada or the FCC to say, oh, that thing that's not regulated is making my shortwave reception bad, they're going to kind of say, what the hell do you want from us? Pretty much. I remember Sheldon Harvey talking about that once. He actually had talked to a guy from Industry Canada here, and he said, okay, but you know, that thing is creating interference. And the guy from Industry Canada said, hey, we're 2 across Canada. Absolutely nothing we can do about it. And that's the problem. There's all of that went through. You know, the regulations that are meant to save us on the shortwave spectrum. You know, the regulations that are meant that our shortwave bands should be clear of interference, our TV should be perfect with, you know, rabbit ears and so on, are not working because nobody's looking at all that stuff. And now with everything that's going through everywhere, you know, half of what comes from China has absolutely never been checked out for regulation of some sort. The only things that are checked out are the really mass market stuff. You know, an Xbox or a PlayStation, I can tell you these have been looked for radiation requirements and stuff. Because that's mass market stuff that a lot of people are going to buy by huge companies that are everywhere around the world. But the huge millions of shitty Chinese electronics that create huge noise, that ain't checked. That's going through and it's like, hey, look at my cool new, you know, device that creates this display of stars around me. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's creating a ton of shit on my radio. Nothing we can do about it. Basically, the regulations are useless. Bobby says, been capturing some 80-meter ham activity lately. Yeah, the winter time is good for the 80-meter band, by the way, Bobby. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. And even in the 160-meter band, you know, check out, if you can check out 1.8 megahertz, check it out. You know, it's pretty crazy. So imagine, hey Jerry, ISS, yeah, it is, it's actually, where's the ISS? I don't see it. I see things here. Where is the ISS? Must be somewhere on the, I don't see it, probably on the, coming slowly. Oh, I don't see it. Well, it's up north, I think, is it? Just looking at where it is. Anyways, oh, it's down here. Yeah, it's going to make, okay, yeah, it's coming for a pass in about 40 minutes. It's more than a few minutes. And don't forget that, Jerry, for the International Space Station, do upgrade your elements. For those that use a program for tracking satellites, very important, by the way, update your elements. It's what's called TLE, two-line elements. Update regularly. For most amateur satellites, even if you have elements that are a couple of weeks old, doesn't matter that much. It's going to be just a difference of, you know, 1 or 2 degrees and, you know, 1 minute. But for the International Space Station, it is extremely important. For the International Space Station, it is extremely important that you update every week and several times a week, because the International Space Station, they actually use their rockets to make the space station go back up, because the space station is so low, it has a lot of drag with the atmosphere, so it's slowly coming down. So they have to kind of push it back up from time to time. And it actually is something that needs to be updated very, very often if you want to have the right position for the International Space Station. So for example, when I actually started this show, just before I did, I updated the TLE to make sure that everything was up to date. Hey, come here, man. People want to see you. You got some visit here. You got some visit. You see? Come here, man. I'm gonna teach you. Okay, here we go. Yeah, look who's there. We got a little guy here. Look at that. Mr. Paul saying hi to everybody. Little guy just wake up now. And he's really sad because it's so cold outside he doesn't want to go out. I opened the door and it was like, no man, I'm not going out there. So Mr. Paul saying hi to everyone. Or DX for those that know him under DX. Hey man. Yeah, love you too. So Mr. Paul saying hello to everybody. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Here, let's here's his little face here. So cute. So like I was saying, make sure that you update your TLEs, especially for the International Space Station. So Man Radio DXer says that he's seen a PDF of monitoring times from 1987, and it says that my data shows 27555 is assigned to the Department of Energy, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. It's a U.S. federal office. Wow. So it gives you an idea, you know. Really, really crazy. So here, Vianney, you've got Paul, as you were asking. Probably he's, you know, kind of heard your request, Vianney. So, you know, you can you can just, you know, have broadcast anywhere, and you know what, doesn't matter. So yeah, well, Jack Amelar, nice to have you here. I do see from I think it's in the actually the shortwave pirates are not really busted much. FM pirates, I see regular FM pirates busted within the pages of the Spectrum Monitor. They have often have that, but shortwave pirates, you don't really hear much of shortwave pirates being busted. You know, as long as they don't interfere, like I said, it's you know. Well, Channel 6 is for the big guns of thousands. You know, Channel 6 is for the kilowatt CBR. That. Oh man. You know. Pretty crazy. So as long as, you know, it's yeah, like if Skywave DXer says, if you put a clean signal on a frequency where it belongs, then it's really hard to get busted. You would need to piss off somebody, exactly. Jerry's listening to the Transprovincial Net on 3755 lower sideband. So everybody's happy to see you, man. Everybody's happy to see you. They don't care about me anymore. It's you now they care about. Yeah. So, well, long wave is, you know, for aeronautical beacons. There's a little chunk of the bottom of long wave which is experimental and ham radio and stuff. So, yeah, but the ISS will stay on its, Jerry, on its course, because they have a set course. But what they will do, they need to get up regularly to make sure it doesn't fall down to Earth, which it will someday, but Yeah, 880 out of New York is pretty pretty strong one here. Paul is connected with Gaspésie. Yeah, that must be it. So, there's a lot of stuff. Oh, that's what I do. Absolutely. Same thing here, Vienna. If you want to know if propagation is working, I just go on channel 6, and if I hear tons of CBers, I know 10 meter band is open. That's my take on it. I always do that. I always do that. And you know what? Matt Radio DX is talking of an FM pirate station that in London causing interference to the air band that was caught. And you know what? A few times I heard pirates on the FM band being busted, like in New York, for example. Very often they were they were at the edge of the FM band, and very often they were interfering with the air band, and that's why they got busted, because they were sending out spurious signals of all sorts on the air band. That's pretty much what we hear most of the time. You know, it comes back to what I was saying earlier. You can send out a signal almost anywhere. And if you are not interfering with anyone, if you don't annoy anybody, most of the time, it goes unknown. Hey guys, I'm going to annoy you for a second here. If you guys want to give me a little donation for what I do, most welcome. Without your donations, I would not have been able to do what I do. And of course, they are most welcome, and they help me continue in taking these making these shows happen, and have a lot of fun. If the link doesn't work on the PayPal, you can go to yahoo.com, the yahoo.com email, and send it to that email on PayPal. So we're gonna do that tomorrow, Fastload. Tonight we're on satellite stuff, and we're gonna tune tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna tune around a lot of it. I'm gonna have it hooked up to the outside antenna, and we're gonna have fun tomorrow. So be here tomorrow, Fastload. You'll be able to see it in working. Before you arrived, I was telling you. I was telling everybody, yesterday I was comparing the medium wave of the Countycom GP5 with this one on the Grundig. It was really crazy, to compare both. And this one received everything that this one did, but as I was saying, in the deep fades, it was clearer on the Grundig, even when on the Countycom it was getting kind of distorted. On the Grundig, it was still good enough to actually be able to listen to the signal. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, so thank you very much. Thanks for the nice comments. And cool. Hope you're having fun with your first shortwave radio. Did he say something bad somewhere else? Bobby? I saw the first message, but I did not see the rest, I guess. Whatever happened to 6 meters and 220 band on ham? 6 meters is still there. It's just that 6 meters is one of those bands that is it's kind of a magic band. It's kind of that band that sometimes alive with signals. I still remember this last summer receiving some JT65 from Brazil on 6 meters. I was just totally amazed. 220 band has been cut down on the in the US. They took part of it for the commercial stuff. I guess they thought that 220 isn't used a lot here too. There's one repeater on 220. What is it? It's, I think, 224.740 here in Montreal. I'm not gonna I'm not sure totally 100%, but I think it's that frequency. There's one repeater, but we rarely hear stuff. In I don't know. Since I was able to, with a device, the first radio I've ever had that had tuned 220 is this one, the Pro 43, and the first. So that means for the past 25 years, I've heard maybe 2 or 3 times a signal from amateur operators on 220. But on 6 meters, I hear, every year I hear some AMs. When, sporadic E-skip happens, I can tell you that there's a lot of activity on 6 meters. But it's that band that you gotta be there when it's happening. A little bit like 10 meters. 10 meters with the low solar activity. It's that band that you got to be there when it turns on. That's it. Yeah, that could be also, as Jack Amlar says, if a regular broadcaster does complain of interference or problems, they will also get busted for sure. For sure. Yeah, man. I know you want me to continue to pet you. So, yeah, FM pirates are almost the only thing they bust because they often are simply interfering with something. 26BT7000 says, what is all this talk about freebanders? 27555 is illegal in the EU and US also. If a frequency isn't in use, doesn't mean you can't just use it. Yeah, that's the thing. It's there are regulations. It's just that some people think that other people are what else do we have? Forbidden knowledge. Hey man, long time listener, first time caller. I wonder why you don't get your ham license. It's all a question of taking the time. Honestly. It's really a question of taking the time to do it. Eventually I'll have it. Eventually I'll have it. Bram, thanks. Repeaters in Montreal are 224.900 and 224.9800. Huh, okay, thanks. There was another one. The one I mentioned, it's probably one of the old ones. I remember there was one at like 7.4 or something. But now you're telling me 224.900 and 224.980. So look at what he's doing now. He's telling me to stop talking. So well, there are no hams on 27555, but it's one of those frequencies that's been used by freebanders. Like I was saying earlier, there's a local ham from that I hear on the 80 meter band very often, and when that frequency range is open for Europe, he gets on 27555 and calls to France, mostly in French. So he's technically illegal, and he's got his ham license. It's not necessarily the best thing in the world, but you need somebody to have somebody to complain about it. Basically, it's as simple as that. Yes, I know. I should get it, Vaults. Also there's I know there would be new content for the channels, and also I was thinking if I get my ham license, kind of document the process of going up to my ham license and everything, to try to kind of have basically try to help others that want maybe to learn. Yeah. So I don't know, Bobby. I saw one post, but I didn't see the rest of the post. So it's if you saw something not okay, you're As I say, I gave the people that I gave moderator status. It's up to you guys to decide what's good or bad. If somebody sees something, because I didn't go to the place where I saw it, and some of us maybe didn't see one of the posts that Bobby saw. So if that's the case, Bobby, it's quite all right. I think everybody that I think when people moderate and block, I think it's I think it must be for a good cause usually. So if he did, there's so many idiots. That's one thing that I like here about the this moderation here on the YouTube channel is the fact that at least here on the YouTube channel it's easy to moderate. On the IRC channel it's kind of a little problematic. Hey, CO57 is crossing. How about we check out if CO57 we can hear its beacon. And the Chinese sats are coming back, guys, with a better pass. So you guys want me to tune the Chinese sats again and see if we can hear some amateur radio operators on 2 meters? We're going to tune them. What we'll do all the Chinese sats again. And maybe after that we'll start winding down for tonight. And we'll be there tomorrow. Once again, tomorrow's a shortwave show. We'll tune this Grundig receiver tomorrow. CO57. And don't think this is going to be a raffle. It's not for sale and it's not to give away. I would like to see the face of Fastload if I would say tomorrow I'm giving it away. I think he would actually kill me. Which he would have the total right to do, by the way. 436.848. Let's try that. 436.848. Don't seem to be hearing anything. But now the Chinese sats are coming for really good pass. I think we're going to have some really cool amateur radio operator. So if you guys wanted me to check that out, check that out. Oh yeah, that could be a nice one. I would definitely think about a call sign that would be I went to the the Industry Canada website. You can actually go there and pass the test. My score last time I passed, I answered 100 questions. I had like 85%. I already have the knowledge to pass my basic tests. Absolutely. So I need to get it. Absolutely. And I want to be on the HF bands. You know what? 26 BT 7000. I love 17 meters. Some of the best DX that I've heard was on 17 meters. 18. I love tuning around that frequency range. Every day I go there. It's one of the bands. You tune the ham bands. For me, there's a must. If propagation is there, I will try 10 and 15 meters. But if it's not there, my must-try bands is 17 meters, 20 meters, 40 meters. And at night, of course, the 80 and 160 meters. Hey there, Douglas Berry. Nice to have you on board. So, Fastlet says, if I can put my hands on a good transceiver, I will go and pass the test to get my license. So we need to do something about it, Fastlet. Richard, nice to have you on board. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And XNE DXer says, my call sign for a future license would be based on my name. Madrid DXer says, if I can take the exam here at home, then maybe I might go for it. I gotta say, if you can take the exam, you know, I understand why you need to pass the exam somewhere. Why I would not, and why I don't think having an exam on the internet is a good thing, is the problem. That you could just cheat. You know, you could answer the questions by cheating. And basically, that's why having the tests over the internet is not a good thing. Some people will want to go to get their hand license and just cheat their way there. So basically, yeah, you can go back and review the. You can unban. You can do whatever you want. I have the possibility to see. If you ban somebody, by the way, in the chat, I have the possibility to look at what was posted without you guys knowing about it, and I can look at what was posted and see if it's valid. If it was banned, that person was banned for a good reason. But I never use it because most of the time I see, you know, the bad posts go through. So it's like, yeah, I understand why you did it. Sometimes, you know, it happened quite often that I just don't, you know, I just don't see the bad things going through. So all I see is, oh, that person was banned, and I don't know, you know, I've not seen the bad thing, which is good anyways, because the more bad posts I see, the more I boil up inside. So it's okay for it to go away before I see it. But if I want, I can go back and see the actual post where you banned it. But I never do that because I have total confidence. You know, the people that have the moderator status, I have total confidence. And by the way, let's add a moderator today. Vianney Arsenault, you want to be moderator? I mean, I trust you. So, here you go. Vianney Arsenault is now moderator. I think that is something pretty cool. Why not? Bram, you want to be a moderator? If something's bad happening, you'll be able to have the power of God in the chat room. Well, actually, I have the power of God. You guys have the power of lesser gods. There you go, Bram. Also, I like adding a few because I, you know, when there's not a lot of people there, it's cool because there you go. And now we have 2 new moderators. So there you go, Vianney. Now you have that little wrench next to your name, which means if somebody is banned, you can go on the right side. There's little dots, and you can click and ban whatever. Okay, yes, I agree, Vaults. It is true. YouTube has the power of God, and I am a disciple. Totally, totally. And like, you know, in the real thing, YouTube can do the Last Supper, and the disciples will just disappear. So it's pretty cool. pretty cool. So Vianney and Bram are new moderators with the power to ban. I wouldn't buy a license, Dr. Sisson. That's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. And for those that are not, and then wonder why I'm not choosing them, don't worry. It's not because I don't love you. But I go to the obvious people that I am absolutely sure I can trust. And I have to say on this chat and on everything on YouTube, trust is a very, very big thing. So, you know. Oh dear, who's going to be banned? So, you know. It's just that. Okay, hey, we've got the Chinese satellite coming through. 2D, XW2D. So you guys, let's hope that there's some activity this time on the XW satellites. Let's hope there's some stuff to listen to. XW2D. Which is 145,855 for the beacon. You should see that Paul the cat is with his paw constantly touching my knee saying, "Hey, human, I want something." So here we go. So it's coming through. I already hear the beacon. It's barely there, and I already hear the beacon. So we're gonna try out amateur radio operators on the XW Chinese satellites with the transponders. Fast load. The beacon in Morse code is around 145,855. Right now it's on 857 because of Doppler. And from 860 to 880, you can hear hams talking. So check it out. It says, "Hey Joe, I need another beer." It's kind of that. He's been doing weird things lately. He's been like really, really intense in asking me for attention in the past week. It's as if he, I don't know. He absolutely wants me to be there. So we hear the beacon. And it's on upper sideband fast load, by the way. So we hear the beacon. And there's some hams. For the beacon to be a little stronger. We'll hear something. Oh, really, man, boy? I gotta say one thing is that I've never owned a cat. I owned a cat a little bit when I was young, but we had the cat for like a month, and the cat disappeared. So I can't really say I owned a cat. And it's the first time I own a cat, which basically chose me, and it's kind of fun, it's kind of fun. But he's really requires a lot of attention, I gotta say. So we're gonna try to listen to some hams here. Ah, that's why he knows Kiki is there. Ha ha ha. Hey, David in Barcelona. We're about to tune around the Chinese XW satellites. Nice to have you on board. Hope you... So you're far away from home. But 4G is working well. Cool. Hope it doesn't cost you a fortune, though. So, nice to have you here, by the way. So, okay. Let's check out the view here. Not a lot of stuff happening on the 2D. I even lost the beacon. It's there, but it's very weak. It's interesting. SW2D seems to be weaker than the other satellites. But we have a series coming up, eh? We have 2B, 2F, and 2C coming up. One after the other. So the beacon. I heard a little bit of hams earlier, but they were really weak. And that this one is really placed well. It's almost all of the United States. We hear the beacon well, and the noise, but it's there. Somebody's sending beeps. Oh, look at that. There's a Morse code here. CQ. There's a station in Morse code calling CQ. That one isn't great, but hopefully XW2B is going to be better. Yeah, 2 meters, Dr. Sissop. 145, 8, 5, 5 and up. It is 2 meter band. It's the downlink of the transponders of the satellites. Hey, take care, N0WAO. We have a shortwave show tomorrow. We'll tune around this and we'll talk about radio. And the next show after that will be Friday, December the 22nd. We will be on our Christmas show Friday at 2000 UT. Santa's going to be here because I've been a good guy. So take care. There's really somebody calling CQ on Morse code on 867. Oh yeah, Mad Radio DX. It's kind of cool to listen to that on the ICOM because you do have all the Doppler shift that you can actually hear by here on the. You know, I need to do it on the SDR. Absolutely, I need to hook up my SDR and set it properly. Maybe using the vertical antenna that I use here and try it out because I want to try it on the SDR also. David says, I've had some great experiences with the ISS over the last couple of weeks or so. Slow Scan TV and School Contacts posted some clips. Cool. Hey, I need to review your channel and give you a little boost, by the way. I need to review a few channels to give you guys boost. Kind of like it. Yeah, Jerry, the real Santa. The only problem is I will probably get, once again, some, you know, negative post of somebody's going to say, Hey, I don't like to see Santa drinking. But anyways, because last year that's what happened. Yeah, the World Radio TV Handbook 2018 is out. Win Radio 313E has top marks, as does the SDR Play RSP2. Oh wow, well, that means they're pretty good. That means they're pretty good. I'd try that, the SDR Play RSP2. Must be quite interesting. So XW2D is pretty much gone in exactly, let's check it out, in exactly, come on, show up, the menu's open, okay, in exactly 5 minutes we will have the acquisition of signal of the next one, XW2B. So, oh yeah, it's at Santa 21 and over, I can tell you that, Bram. Last year, I got a huge rant of a mother because I did my Christmas show on the Tech channel with my nephew Gabriel, and I drank a full bottle of wine while doing the show, and Santa was drunk. And I got an email that I kept. It's huge. And it's from a mother that stumbled across Santa Claus while looking at YouTube miniatures. And she said, hey kids, come and watch Santa on YouTube. And she kind of was horrified to see Santa drinking wine. And Santa was really drunk. I mean, by the end, Santa was shit-faced. You know what? It was actually so funny that even my brother, that doesn't really watch my stuff, watched that evening. And he said it was the funniest Santa he's ever seen. So, anyways. On the Grundig Satellite 800 and the ICOM R75. Yeah, they are great radios. The ICOM R75 is a great one. So, when the real Santa drinks sherry. So, anyways, really, she took the time to write to me to say that it was absolutely bad, and I can tell you that. Oh God, you know, YouTube is YouTube. All I gotta say. So, you guys enjoying the show? Hope so. And we'll do the Chinese sats, and after the Chinese satellites are gone, we'll say bye-bye for the night. We're on. Hey, we've been on for 3 hours now already. Man, time flies. I just can't believe that we're on for 3 hours already. Oh, you gotta dust off your DX440 fast load. Come on, it's gotta be turned on and gotta work. Okay, Bram. Okay, Santa is an adult. He can drink and screw whoever. Okay. Oh God. Fastlet says my FRG7 is still on duty. It's a nice radio. FRG7 is a beautiful radio. It's one of the beautiful rigs. You know, visually it's beautiful, and it's a good radio. You know, it's a really good radio. I can tell you one thing, Fastload. Wait till you see my review of this thing. I am so amazed at this thing that I don't remember the last time I was amazed at a radio like that. I mean, you know, I bought tons of radios, Texan, whatever, that are cool, that are really good. Some are amazing for what they are, but man, this thing is totally amazing. I mean, for a 48-year-old radio, this is crazy. This is crazy. I don't remember the last time I was so amazed at a receiver. Thank you, Anula65. it's nice to do these shows. I like doing these shows. I think it's you know, it's fun to also have you know, interaction with everybody also, and you know, have everybody on the radios. Tomorrow we'll listen to the radio, to shortwave bands. We'll have a lot of fun probably. But I'm amazed at this thing. I can tell you that, Fastload. Totally, totally. And by the way, Fastload, just to add to the Christmas Eve party, I was telling you that people start arriving around 3 p.m. Don't arrive too late, because between 3 p.m. and the time we have the turkey and everything, around 8 or 9 p.m., I have tons of food. So everybody that arrives late misses out on all the tons of food that was before the official food later. So don't arrive too late also. And you see, it's going to be fun. It's very, you know, family, relax. Nothing, you know, we don't, at the Christmas party here, I don't like we all sit down at a table and eat. It's not the kind of party I do here. Here it's, the food's there, the plates are there, and just, you know, when you want to eat, you just get a plate, get your food, whatever. And so some people are in the kitchen, some people are in the living room, some people are here. Okay, it's relaxed. We do what we want. And that's it. I was thinking of setting up the Amiga with a 32-inch TV like here. So if you guys want to play some games on the Amiga 500, that could be something cool. So, oh yeah, absolutely, Fastload. 4:30 p.m. is perfect. It's because some people arrive late. I mean, there are some people in there you're going to see, they're going to arrive like at 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. And they miss out on tons of things. It's just crazy. So, yeah, Jerry, I can't believe it's Christmas in 10 days also. I can tell you that. I'm totally amazed. That's exactly like you are, Jerry. Hey, Radioactive, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Well, I know that Santa does have some ham radio frequencies, because every year there's that net where children can actually ask Santa, you know, talk to Santa over amateur radio. That's kind of cool. Richard, the Grundy here covers long wave, medium wave, and short wave. It's a full general coverage up to 30 megahertz. It is amazing. Take care, Dr. Sisop. Nice to have you on board. Nice to have you on board. North Korea will jam Santa. Yeah. Oh, you can, Fastload. You can sit here and just play whatever you want. It's open, so no problem. Matt the Extra says, yeah, Amiga 500. Yeah, NORAD Track Santa, absolutely. So we've got XW2B. Let's try it out. XW2B 145725 for the beacon. 145725. So let's check out the beacon. Okay, the beacon's there. It's very weak, but it's there. 145725. And we'll try for the hams on 145730 to 750. See if we can hear them on the next pass of a Chinese satellite. Actually, you're giving me an idea, Fastload. I should change the name of this room from office to a lab. Oh, thanks, Jerry, for sending me the SantaNet frequencies through email. So the beacon not a lot happening right now. So we'll wait a little more. Not a lot of activity on these satellites. There were some evenings, there were tons of amateur radio operators on there. I can tell you that. And Richard, if you're around tomorrow, tomorrow we're going to tune it. We're going to tune the shortwave bands through it. We're going to tune medium wave. We're going to have a lot of fun with that radio tomorrow as we check it out for sure. So you're watching the Friday radio show on this channel. It's every Fridays, 2000 hours UTC, and we talk about usually shortwave radio, but we have these exceptional satellite shows where we listen to satellites, amateur radio satellites, and all sorts of satellites. So it's pretty cool. And Mad Radio, there's a Sentinet on the 80 meters, 3918. I don't know if it's at a frequency, but I know that they have frequencies. I heard last year, I heard a little bit of communications on the 20 meter band. Let me just check the email that I've got from Jerry and see what we have of information here. Sentinet. So let's check that out. Thanks, Jerry, for sending me the link, by the way. Okay. Sentinet 2017 3916 is the frequency there. So that's one part, but there's another one. There's another one that actually is on 20 meters or something. So here, I'm going to post the link, by the way. And of course, I'll take some time to try to... so this is the link to the Sentinet information. Oh man, I hate it. The sharing of links doesn't work on this shitty chat. So sorry guys, this thing is this doesn't work. So they were working before. They broke something on YouTube because they were working before. It's interesting how the amateur sats are really, really quiet. Have you guys heard Paul the cat meow? Oh, here we go. There's something. It's very, very weak. November Oscar 2 station. Stations are very weak this week. It seems that 2F and what was the other one? 2D or 2B? Was much better. That's because Fastload, somebody writes a message and decides he doesn't want to post it. So that person decided to delete the message. It's as if you would say something and you said it wrong and you don't want to say it like that. You can go at the right side and say, oh no, I want to retract that message. Even Tinny says 3916 is has several good nets in the evening. Overall, very good frequency to listen to. I like to listen to the 80 meter band. There are a few frequencies on the 80 meter band where you see there's these, old seasoned amateur radio operators that know what they're talking about. I like that. I like it when they start those technical talks. Radioactive. Radioactive. I use the this is on Linux, and this is GNOME Predict or G Predict radioactive, and it's on Linux. It's available on the Linux. If you go on the App Store for the version of Linux you have, almost every App Store I've seen has got it there. Richard, are you talking to me? I live smack in the middle of the city of Montreal. Really smack in the middle. No problem, Fast Load. Jerry says Maritime Mobile Service Net will be hosting Santa Claus on 20 meters December 23rd and 24th between 20 and 01 UT. So it's pretty cool. If you want a Windows version radioactive of a satellite program, the one that I like is Orbitron. Okay, and that works with every version of Windows, including 10. The only thing, right-click on the executable and give it administrative rights, or else it won't work. I know, Valtz. It doesn't look like that. Rosemont, Richard. Rosemont. I'm in Rosemont. I'm at the border between Rosemont and Saint-Michel. If you know Montreal a little bit, Richard, I'm really at the border of Rosemont and Saint-Michel. And absolutely, Valtz. It's all small little houses here, everywhere. This is the we're almost at the corner of the street here, and there's 2 6-apartment buildings here and on the other side. For the rest, it's small little houses. It looks like I live in the countryside. Hey, Pujo Jojo, nice to have you on board. Cool. So let's try the 2F. Hopefully 2F will give us better reception of amateur stuff. So 145.975. So we're going to wait for that satellite to come in, and we're going to hope for some communications. There's not a lot of things happening on these satellites right now. So it is true. It's very yeah. You know, when I don't want to turn on the computers. When I don't want to turn on the computers, what I'll usually do is simply take the Heavens Above app, which is nice. I mean, you look at radio satellites. So, for example, now I'm going to have 2F XW2F, and basically, you just click on the satellite, and you have the map with the pass, how good the pass is going to be, and so on. So it's pretty interesting, and really like the Heavens Above app. Absolutely, it's a great app to get. Great app to get, can tell you that. Really nice. So, hey MDK2, cool. Can relax now. Interesting to see if we hear amateur radio operators. It's funny because the 2 or 3 times I listened to this week, there were actually more operators there than tonight, which is of course a live show, so that's why it does that. There's never a lot of people when the live shows are there. They're all watching the live show. I understand now. They're not on the radio, they're watching the live show. Hey, one last little Self-promotion, if you want to help me out, you can send me a little something through PayPal at paypal.shortwave, or if you already have sent me something in the past, you can use the Yahoo email. Helps me tremendously in continuing these live shows. You can also go to patreon.com. I prefer PayPal, but you can go to patreon.com/radio and computers and become a patron. We've got 8 patrons helping me out every month, but PayPal, I kind of prefer PayPal. And you know, on PayPal it's like it's a one-time thing. There's no going crazy over it. And Mr. Paul the Cat patiently waiting for me to do something. He's really, really patient. He's like, yeah man, come on, come on. So, last beer for the night. And let's see if we... Not hearing much. Kind of weird. Oops! Forgot to put it in the glass. Don't want to offend anyone. Well, my water with ice is so cold that it almost freezes my beer. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Yeah, there's the web version, absolutely, David. The web version of Heavens Above also, which is pretty good. Heavens Above is really good. Hey, Marcos Polizelli, nice to have you here. You're receiving Radio Inconfidencia. I haven't heard a lot of Brazilians recently. I've heard Radio Nacional Amazonas, but I haven't heard a lot of Brazilians recently. Just stick your beers in the show. So, I use a glass because I don't want to... Somebody asked me the other day, said, why you don't drink on the bottle? It's like, well, I use a glass because I don't want to offend anyone. Apparently some people are offended when it's the bottle. You know, I already have some people offended because I drink on the show. I get that regularly. People are offended that I drink on the show and I should not, according to them. You know, I think it's okay. It's, you know, it's like a big party thing, basically. You know. So, nothing much happening. So anyways, guys, you know what? We're going to call it tonight. We're going to call it tonight. We've been on for 3 hours and 20 minutes, which is pretty good. And, yeah, I know, Pujo Jojo, I saw that the south of the U.S. had some snow. Vaughn says, I will be very offended if you don't drink on the show. that I like. So anyways, take care everybody, and put a beer in a martini glass. Yeah, Jerry. So yeah, I'll put it in a glass with little flowers and say it's apple juice. Yeah, he really wants me to take care of Mad Radio DX, I can tell you that. Yeah, Shortwave is party, and taking beer is a party, so it's a mix, it's a big party. So, okay guys, take care. Tomorrow, 2000 hours UTC, we're going to tune this big Grande radio, and we're going to search pirates, and I'm going to have a lot of fun. So hope that you can join us, and have a lot of fun with us. And don't forget, next Friday, is going to be Santa. It's Christmas. So Santa's going to be here, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And what will be the last show of 2017 before we come back in January. So thanks everybody for being great fans, for being here. See you tomorrow, and have a nice evening, night, day, wherever you are. Stay safe. Love you all. And see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.